Hello everybody, and welcome to another video with Rod. Today we are going to do things a little bit different. I'm going to not go with a script. I'm just gonna do it on the fly, and hopefully I don't sound like a robot. Well, today's topic is gonna be a topic that keeps brought up to me quite often. And over this weekend, when I went to an art show, I got a chance to talk to a couple art students, and it made me think that I should make this video. The topic of this video is, should you go to art school? Should you go and pay to get a degree in the field of your choice? Well, my answer would be, it depends. And yes, that is a very open-ended question, but let me explain it a little bit. If you are one of those people that have an immense amount of talent and you are a natural at art, there is absolutely no reason that you really need to go to art school. You could, as long as you have the determination and you have the drive to be able to teach yourself the things that you don't know, then you're going to be perfect. You're going to be fine. You're not going to need to learn what they teach you. But you still need to teach yourself a lot of things. Let's say that you are an amazing drawing person. Like, you can draw like no one's business. But you're trying to go into graphic design. Well, do you need to go to a university, or do you need to go to a school like the Art Institute or the Academy of Arts to do this? No, absolutely not. We live in an awesome age right now in which we can learn pretty much anything we put our minds to, as long as we have the time and the dedication to look up this information online. You can find tutorials and online free classes and other people that do this anywhere in the world. You can always message your favorite artist and see if they can help you, point you in the right direction, and then just take it from there. Oddly enough, I did go to art school for animation, and guess what? I haven't touched animation in 10 years, almost since I graduated. I ended up going in a completely different way. I ended up going into illustration and design, and we didn't really get taught any of that. I mean, we got taught a few design classes and a very few amount of drawing classes, but no real illustration work, no real emphasis on what I wanted to do. So my degree, in all reality, has not done much for me. I have never gotten a job directly for being a graduate of a certain school. More so, your portfolio is going to talk much more, and it's going to talk much louder than your degree will ever talk. You can be a kid that just graduated from high school, and if you have the skills and you have natural talent, you can get a job over a dude that got a master's degree in design, because having the degree doesn't mean that you are good at it. It doesn't mean that you're accomplished, it might mean that you have a lot of knowledge inside of you, but the application of that knowledge is what matters. Unless you're going to go teaching or you're going to try to pass on that knowledge to somebody else, the application and being able to put that knowledge to the test is what makes you a valuable artist. Now, art school in some cases is not needed, but if you are going to go into a very specialized field of work, let's say, for example, if you are going to want to get into 3D animation, and you want to get into very specific film schools, or you want to get into film, sometimes it is worth it because certain schools, you have to do your research, but certain schools are amazing at tailoring to these specific needs. If you have no idea what you want to do, but you know that you want to be in art, make sure that you know the focus you want to take on so you can find a school that is going to tailor to your needs. Because if you end up going to school for animation or illustration or graphic design, and at the end of the day, you find out that, hey, I don't like this. Maybe I just wanted to do sculpting. Or maybe photography is more my thing. You know, I don't want to continue in this degree. Well, that will be one of the most costly mistakes you ever do in your life, because degrees from these schools are not cheap. They are very expensive. Almost every single artist that graduates from these ends up in so much debt, like upwards of 100,000 plus in debt. And unless you actually focused on what you wanted and you actually end up being successful at it, you're not going to be able to pay that back very easily. Or you're going to be pressured into going into something else in order to pay the bills and paying back the school loans, which is not something that you ideally want to do. So I recommend that if you do end up wanting to go to an art school, that you research as much as you can to make sure that the school you're going into isn't just one of those cash grab schools. Unfortunately, I think that sometimes like schools like the Art Institute or DeVry School or, schools like that, depending on the recruiters or how much they need to bring in, sometimes they do just try to get students in and then just try to pressure them to follow a certain path that they might not want. So you get a lot of students that switch majors halfway through, and then they end up losing thousands of dollars. And then, they end up in a horrible situation, or they end up dropping out, and then they end up in like $40,000 in debt, $50,000 in debt. And that is not a good scenario to be in. So it's a very important decision that you're going to have to look into. Now, if you are not a self-driven person and you have absolutely or very little skill when it comes down to technical knowledge, I would take some classes at your local community college. You get familiar with the digital programs. Make sure that it's something that you're going to want to go into. Even if it's going to delay you getting your degree, by a year or 6 months or however long it is. Just make sure that you're familiar before you go into it. A lot of people go into art degrees thinking that they're going to be easy. They think that it's going to be a simple thing to go into an art college and come out with a good degree or a degree in general. And all these people, I remember back in college seeing all these people struggle so much because they would not be able to keep up. They just wouldn't be able to hang because, first of all, it wasn't their passion. And second, they didn't realize that it's actually very hard. Having to deal with all the constraints and all the assignments and being creative 24/7 is not an easy thing to do. And on top of that, you probably have to have a full-time job to pay for it, or unless you're lucky enough to have, your parents pay for it or you have money. But it's not a simple thing. So it's a very, very, very tough decision. And it's something that people shouldn't take lightly. Even if you have had this lifelong dream of being an artist ever since you were little, you should really think about it very hard, because statistically, it's going to be really hard for you after you graduate. Not many people make it really big. And even though there is a ridiculous amount of art jobs out there, a lot of the times you're going to have to relocate if you want to get a job, And not a lot of people are willing to do that either. The field of art is a very demanding, and it's very hard to live as a full-time artist. I have been doing it for about 10 years. I was lucky enough that after graduating, I got a couple decent jobs that started my career. And then, I got lucky landing a couple clients and freelance work. And then, everything just fell into place for me. But I am a very small minority as compared to every single other person in my college class. I can only name maybe a handful of people that I graduated with that have gone on to follow their career as an artist. And we were a pretty big class. And it was some very talented people. And even some of them that were the most talented didn't go on to continue with their artwork because they had to pay the bills, they had to pay the loans back, and they were pressured into going into different things. And I keep on repeating myself with this, but it's a very important point. So, let's just sum it up. Do you need to go to art school to become a good artist? Absolutely not. You don't need to. But if you don't go to art school, you better have a bigger drive than every other person that you know. And you have to have the will to go out there and chase things on your own, and to acknowledge that you are not perfect and that you need to refine your skills. And you need to get better every single time, because no one is going to account for your success. No one is going to be there to coach you through it. I mean, you might be lucky and you might have other people that have done it before you, but if you take the solo route without teachers, it'll all be on you. Your success will be on you, and that'll be amazing. But your failures and your getting rejected and getting passed over for maybe people that have, it's going to be on you, and that's going to be hard. But on the other hand, you will also not be a ridiculous amount of money in debt. You're probably going to be better off at first, and if you have enough skills and you put enough time into it, there is absolutely no other person that will be put above you just because of their degree. I've been in the hiring process of things for different design studios. I have been the one, asking to get hired as well, obviously. And it always comes down to your body of work. So think about it like that. No matter what, that paper that says that you graduated with honors from a certain school is going to do very minimal. Think about it more about going to get the knowledge, not the paper. And you'll be way better off. Alright guys, thank you so much for listening to me rant. Hopefully me talking without a script didn't mean that I just sound repetitive or overwhelming. And if you guys like what I'm doing, please hit subscribe. Click like on my videos. It helps a lot. And as always, have a wonderful night. And you guys rock. You guys are awesome. We're almost at 1,000 followers. So you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.